Yo, what's good, my realers? It's your man G1, aka Gorilla Number One. And with this being said, we have something to talk about today that I can guarantee you nobody on the internet is talking about in regards to this Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. Hope you all are ready. Strap on your seatbelts and swing your vines, because we about to go deep into the jungle on this one, you dig? Let go. Yo, once again, this is your man G1. Thank you for joining me here at the Habitat. And of course, been hip hop since 73, as you can see in my silverbacks. And I'm proud to say that I am extremely charged up by this battle right now. Drake has come out in response to Like That, a song dropped by Metro Boomin and Future featuring Kendrick Lamar, where he drops a brain-busting verse that destroys everything over a remix of the Rodney O and Joe Cooley beat. And a lot of y'all don't know, check out Everlasting Bass. That was the first thing that caught my mind. I was about to start sea walking where I was at, man. But you just got to understand, if you're from the West, you know what I'm saying, then you felt it, you know what it meant, and as soon as you heard it, it connected with you. So, all that being said, I will say that I'm a Kendrick fan. Now, before you turn off, I want you to know that you're not going to get any Drake beatdowns around this way. That's not what we're here for. We're here for something much, much bigger. And this is why I call this one G1 Presents The Tale of Two Kings. This theory that I have in regards to not only what's going on, but acknowledging that this is much, much bigger than hip hop. Sorry. It's not bigger than hip hop, but it's definitely much bigger than the rap beef. Because what we're at right now in this 51-year-old aspect of a music genre that has changed the landscape of the world like no other, beating out country, which was number one and at the top of the pile, surpassing rock and roll years ago as it was at the top of the pile. And then, of course, rhythm and blues, jazz, nothing tops hip hop. A lot of things may try and come close, and they was hoping we was gonna fall off after last year, but guess what? Not happening. Why? Because we know what we do, we know why we do it, and we know that y'all can't get enough of it. So, if y'all thought that we was gonna be beating down on these artists today, now we're gonna commend both of them, because both of them stepped into the squared circle to get it on lyrically. This, I hope, does not turn into any bloodshed, but I will say that Kendrick Lamar, coming from LA, is definitely one of those who is connected well deep into the business and the gang lifestyle. Now, that being said, Drake also has his connections too. He's connected to people like Lucian Grange, which is the CEO of Universal Music Group, aka UMG, aka we own all y'all motherfuckers. All right, but that's not why we're here. Once again, the question is there a possibility that in this world of hip hop and rap that there can be not one, but two kings? I think there can be, and I'll tell you why. Now, as we get into this, I want to know, we're going to take you back a little bit, just a little bit. Maybe to like what? Not so much as 1973, because we know that's when Kool Herc came out of the park on Sedgwick Avenue and did his thing with the big turntables and the microphones and the DJ equipment and everything else necessary. We also know that Kool Herc wasn't the only one doing it around that time. You had DJ Coca La Rock and a lot of others out there getting to it. But in the background, always making sure that the DJ was promoted and well represented, was the hype man. Who was the hype man? The hype man, aka the mic man, was the one that held the motherfucking microphone and said what needed to be said to get the crowd going. I mean, back as early as, well, there's too many to name. You know what I'm saying? Too many to name. But I can just tell you, one of the ones who made a big landscaping change we're going to talk about is the chief rocker, Busy B, aka Bob Baba Bob, a dang da dang diggy diggy Bob, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you how that plays into what we're talking about today. So on this little history lesson, you know, of course, we all know the history of hip hop. Started out in the Bronx, spread throughout the 5 boroughs, and eventually spread through both coasts of the nation. Then it spread at both hemispheres, and once again, now it's global. Hell, aliens probably up there doing their little jig. You know what I'm saying? With the bleep, 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 and the gleep, gleep, gleep. You know what I'm saying? But once again, I digress. What I'm talking about today is how hip hop has always been the most competitive blood sport out there in regards to mental, intellectual prowess, as well as physical dexterity, as well as fashion and graph and all the things that come along with it. Even starting music off of a thing called a turntable. Who would have known that with 2 turntables, a beat can be spun back, creating an extended version of that beat, which allowed people to get on a microphone and speak their piece. See, the reason why I say that that's so big is because that's when MCing came to the forefront. But that's not when MC became the main purpose that people wanted to get into this music for. See, the hype man, aka the mic man, like I said before, was the one who would promote the DJ. You know what I'm saying? Big him up. You know, we got Kool Herc going, doom, doom, he's going crazy on the 1s and 2s, blah, blah, blah. Throw your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care. The original chant, you know what I'm saying, that got people that came to party into that feel good. You know what I'm saying? Afrika Bambaataa came through, making sure that the gangs of the Bronx united under one flag, which was the Zulu Nation, to become, well, let's just say, Spades changed into whatever they changed into, and the other side changed into what they changed into, and it became more of a party function, and you battled through your mouthpiece. And that saved a lot of lives back then. Now, move forward ahead to 1979. And guess who is out there? The Sugar Hill Gang drops the first commercial song called Rapper's Delight. Now, I want to emphasize the first commercial song because that was not the first song that made it, or the first hip hop song to be recorded. In fact, if you want to check your facts, it was a group called the Fatback Band, which was a, jazz fusion band back then that actually decided that they had a song that they wanted to, put out there, but obviously the labels didn't want them to do it because it would compete with the DJs on the radios, who now at this time has started their rapping process. And the band, the Fatback Band, would drop a song called King Tim III. The reason why King Tim III is because that was the hip hop rapper who had came into, at the age of 16, the art of rapping, and they wanted him on the song. And that song ended up going, after it got recorded to the album, on the B-side. So go to Apple Music, look it up their way too. Probably on Spotify, but it's called King Tim III. And it's pretty dope. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think it still rings bells because it's right there with Rapper's Delight. Now, Rapper's Delight would feature, 3 artists. One of those artists, I think Big Hank, and I want to say that he was the one who actually penned, or actually rapped a verse that was penned by the Chief Rocker Busy Bee. Now, this is where we're gonna start tying this in at, because a lot of y'all don't know who the hell Busy Bee is, but let me tell you why you do know him. Because Busy Bee would go on to battle Kool Moe Dee. You probably don't know who Kool Moe Dee is. Why? Because the new generation doesn't really like to go back to the old school to find out what it was that made this whole situation in 2024 so great. So that's why I'm walking you through this. So better fuck with me, all right? Let's go. Now, with that being said, Kool Moe Dee and the Chief Rocker Busy Bee would have the first lyrical spar, or the first rap battle, to take it to epic proportions. That's not to say that they were the first two battling, they were the first ones to take their battle to the main stage. And that main stage would eventually turn Kool Moe Dee, which is the winner, into a new artist that would come out and drop his album. Now, his album would eventually get his name out there ringing, and along this time, there was this little record company that was fledgling and coming up and wanted to make a little noise, and it was called Def Jam. Ah, yeah, you start to see where I'm going with this. Now, their premier artist, aka the first golden boy of hip hop, was LL Cool J. Now, if you know like I know, man, LL Cool J was a monster. Still is a monster. Let me tell you how much of a monster he is. LL Cool J would eventually go on to drop an album called GOAT, which was an acronym. And for those that don't know what an acronym is, it just means that each letter has a word that it stands for, okay? So in this case, GOAT meant, what is it? That's right, greatest of all time. Yes, that was LL Cool J who coined that term. Salute to you, LL Cool J. Now, of course, because Busy Bee lost to Kool Moe Dee, that changed the landscape of MCing. It brought MCs from the rear, pause, to the forefront, where they could now be the main attraction. They were no longer the hype man. And that would bring on new changes that would bring different artists, different MCs out to flex their lyrical prowess, their intelligence, their intellect, their style, rep their corner, rep their block, rep their street, rep their city, rep their borough, all these different things. See, this is the beauty of what we're talking about, people. We're talking about something that's so dynamic. It's like the atom multiplying and becoming different levels of what you see in front of you to this very day. That's how big this shit is. And I'm not gonna go Keith Murray on you and start getting all scientifical, but this is the most beautiful thing in the world. You dig what I'm telling you? This is hip hop. Here's the problem. When hip hop signed its first act into the music of business, or excuse me, the business of music, that's when rap was created. The commercial aspect of the hip hop culture. Yes, now you're starting to see where I'm going with this, right? Breaking it all down to give you some context. And like I said, this all spawned from a conversation I was having with my man today, aka the Lone Wolf. Shout out to you, Lone Wolf. Appreciate the spark and kicking that battery in my back. Just giving you a shout out so when you see this, you know, hit like, subscribe, let's get to it. Anyways, with that being said, bringing you up to the first rap contract, which was with the Sugar Hill Gang, which once again, Big Hank, if I'm correct, was the one who spit the verse that was penned by Busy Bee, and Busy Bee was the first one to have the first MC battle of epic proportions with Kool Moe Dee, which would kick a career off for Kool Moe Dee, who was one of my favorite at the times, who would eventually battle LL Cool J, which became a major battle because LL Cool J would go on to defeat Kool Moe Dee and become the golden boy of hip hop. And the reason why I say the golden boy of hip hop, once again, is going to lead into another reason why I'm saying that, because after that first golden boy went down and moved on to other areas of, you know, industry of entertainment, i.e. acting in this case, there was another golden boy that took his place. That golden boy would go by the name of Jay-Z, aka Jehovah, aka your favorite rapper's favorite rapper, aka the ghostwriter extraordinaire, and so many other names, up to and including Sean Carter, the first billionaire of rap. Yes, this is history, people. This is history. Pin this motherfucker if you don't want to, but it's too late. It's already in the books, baby. So what I'm talking about is something so major that we are talking about, well, no matter where you're at, you can see the impact that this has on the world. Now, coming up to where we're at right now, we have Kendrick Lamar. Is he golden boy? Nah, but he's a fan favorite in most cases because he's the people's champ. And he's a self-proclaimed people's champ, but anybody that asks you, they'll tell you that he's the people's champ too, because he came out with songs, that lit the world on fire, from his Section 80 album, and then of course Good Kid, Mad City, which was his first classic album. You know what I'm saying? And really his first introduction to those who didn't know about him, because Section 80 maybe didn't make the splash that it made, but it was showing that this guy had lyrical prowess unmatched by any. And at this time, Drake was also bubbling. Had also come out with, what, So Far Gone, Thank Me Later. I may have that in reverse, but, not to slaughter him, so please, spare me. But I'll tell you, when I first heard Drake, I knew automatically, this dude is going to be a problem. Why? Because everybody was coming up to me on the yard talking about, yo, you heard this dude? You heard this dude? Yo, he sing and he rap. I'm like, what? Fuck out of here. Ain't nobody doing all that like that, because usually at this time auto-tune was kind of fading. It's still kind of in, but it wasn't in like, it was in a couple of years, because T-Pain at that time was killing it, blowing it out. The whole Miami's Florida sound was going up. Rick Ross is coming in there blowing up with it. And then you had Pitbull, you had Flo Rida. I mean, it was just like really that sound was taking over, because that auto-tune added a different texture to the sound, i.e. auto-tune was the first thing that came out with your man, Zapp, Roger Troutman, rest in peace. But with that being said, as that was kind of still culminating, and everybody was using that to sing the hooks and all this good stuff, you had this Toronto native named Aubrey, who would go by the name of Drake, aka the Dragon, and he would come out and he would be flexing all types of singing prowess. I mean, the pipes on this dude allowed him to sing a melody, and then the bars on this boom bap style that he was using at this time would go on to drop some of the heaviest bars that really took him from zero to hero in a very short period of time. I mean, doing songs with the likes of Kanye West, Eminem, Lil Wayne, and so many others, man. I'm telling you, this dude just set the world on fire automatically. And as that happened, he came across Kendrick Lamar, actually took him on his tour with him, giving Kendrick a chance to get out of LA and do some major things on this tour. And big things. What happened during that time, not sure. They would eventually go on to do a song together on Kendrick Lamar's debut album. Once again, debut because that was the first one most people heard of, which when he transitioned from K-Dot to Kendrick Lamar off the TDE record imprint, and he would become like a megastar off of this album. And they had a song together, which was pretty good because, like I said, it had Drake and it had Kendrick Lamar. They both flexed their lyrical prowess and capabilities as well, telling stories of love and, just like their way and their take on females and relationships. With that being said, man, we are now in the age of 2024. It's a new day. It's a new era as far as this music thing. It's been up and down. Drake's been in the industry for some time. Kendrick's been in the industry for some time. And now these two are at the top of the pile, and they are now going by the title of GOAT. In fact, Kendrick Lamar would say that there's three GOATs. J. Cole, which, Jermaine Cole. Come on, what can you say about that brother? A lot of things. I'm not going to go into the negatives, but I'm going to stay positive. Once again, I'm not trying to bash either one of these guys because I don't want that to be the topic of what we're talking about. This battle kind of culminated from what we all know as a song called First Person Shooter, which is on Drake's last album called All the Dogs. Now, there's been some underground beef, but some subs being shot back and forth between all three of these guys, okay? So J. Cole, his hands are not clean. Drake's hands are not clean, nor are Kendrick's hands clean. So, but this has been going on for the better part of a decade and then some. And with that being said, we would notice that things started intensifying, to say the least. With that being the case, let me tell you what happens next. First person shooter comes out, and everybody is like, #1 album, J. Cole's first, and Drake's 13th, tying him with Michael Jackson for the most #1 albums. Amazing, amazing song, heavy hitter, heavy hitter. I mean, I don't even want to go over some of the lines. I mean, you can look it up and listen to it. I don't want to spoil it for you. But both artists in their video, I love the way the video would just paint this picture with these two guys going back and forth. You could tell they put a lot of money into it. Drake's really shining because he knew he was going to get a #1 off of this. And I can't blame him because, you know, when you got Jermaine on the album and you got Drake, I don't understand why you wouldn't have a #1 album. And they got it, you know. Now, with that being the case, there was even a little subcontext. Yeah, little subcontext that happened between Drake and Cole. Wasn't really talked about, but a lot of people said that Drake got washed on that song. So they would come back and do another song together. And, you know, we'll not go into that one too deep. But the point is, you know, they came back. And in my perspective, Drake got washed again because he still, I felt, was pulling back and allowing things to go the way that they were going. And if he wasn't, it just, like, you know, you couldn't shut down Cole on either one of these two songs. It just, Cole is the feature killer. He is. Everybody knows it. I don't have to say it. It's factual. After he went on his run doing nothing but features, he reestablished himself as one of the best in the industry right now, lyrically. His prowess, of course, topped by nobody but other than K. Lamar and Drake. So that's why the whole GOAT thing popped up, calling himself and them the Big Three. Well, long story short, Metro Boomin and Future drop a new album called We Still Don't Trust You. Okay? We Don't Trust You. We Still Don't Trust You would be the follow-up album that would drop a couple of weeks later. During that album, the single, Like That, would feature Kendrick Lamar. And Kendrick Lamar would go on to drop one of the most boomingest damn verses ever. Now, let me drop that back and play a little bit more history. This was Kendrick's second time making an appearance in a major splash, which shifted the narrative of the hip-hop industry. How so, you ask? Well, anybody who hadn't had their head stuck up a 4-point of contact or under a rock, or, you know what I'm saying, playing Mr. and Mrs. Ostrich, would know that Kendrick Lamar called everybody out by name. Anybody he felt was a peer on the Control album. Now, there was a lot of speculation of whether Kendrick Lamar was really worthy to call everybody out because he responded to nobody once he called them out. But the verse, nonetheless, did a lot of damage. It was like dropping a nuke and walking away, to hide in the bunker while the nuclear shower cooled down. And that's what he did. Fast forward to where we're at right now, and he gets on this album with Metro Boomin and Future and does the same thing again. However, this time, he would not take a shot at the industry as a whole as he did the first time. This time, he was very specific with his aim, narrowing it down to his main competition at this time, which was Jermaine Cole, or J. Cole, and Drake, aka Aubrey. Now, the beautiful part about that is this time he had his snipe set. Maybe he was pissed off about the fact that they left him out. Maybe he was pissed off at the fact that Drake sent them a, request to be on the song and he chose not to do it because he didn't want to be a part of sharing the title. So even though J. Cole deemed it the Big Three, one of the most famous sounds of a gunshot going off in the industry was had when Kendrick Lamar said, "Motherfuck the Big Three, it's just Big Me." Come on. If that doesn't say it all, that will be the verse in the line that goes down in infamy and lives forever. And not to mention, Metro Boomin and Future, along with Kendrick, would now score a first album where they went #1 together. Okay? Of course, we know that Metro Boomin has been attached to some #1s, Future's been attached to some #1s, and Kendrick's been attached to some #1s, but together they created a #1 with just a 1-minute verse. Kendrick has changed the industry yet again. Now, that brings us up to right now. Right now, Drake would come back and do nothing. He would wait. But first, J. Cole would jump out there on 7-Minute Drill and dropping Might Delete Later, and that would be the song number 12 on there. And with that, he would actually be throwing some shots back at Kendrick. Of course, to me, I felt it was half-hearted, and eventually, it cost him. And apparently I was the only one that felt like this, because your boy kind of had to pull it off the album. Not only did he pull it off the album, he pulled it off the album after he apologized. Wow. When does that happen? In 2024. Where does that happen? In his hometown of Fayetteville, North Carolina. During what? A concert for his fans, the Dreamers. In the Dreamville concert, he would announce that he apologized to Kendrick Lamar, gave him credit, extended his chin to take another shot should he decide to do so, and gracefully bowed out of the competition. Now, much speculation has been revolving around this, because this is an unseen act that goes against the grain of hip-hop in competition, as it being the most competitive lyrical sport out there. Once again, we've talked about the history. This is still a mystery. Can't call it. All that being said, Drake would then come out and drop Push-Ups, aka Drop and Give Me 50. Now, there was some speculation around this one because, hey, is it AI? Is it Drake? Is it real? Is it Memorex? Don't nobody know. Everybody does give a damn, but don't nobody know. The first beat was pretty cool. Had a Get Money in the background. And he went in on Kendrick Lamar as, he went in. Woo-hoo-wee. But he also threw a major shot at Metro Boomin. Metro, shut and get my drums. Kind of like Puff sending motherfuckers up the street to go get a cheesecake. Anyways, I won't go there. But the point was, it was pretty damn disrespectful. And not only would he diss Metro Boomin, not only would he diss Kendrick Lamar, but he also dissed Rick Ross. He also dissed A$AP Rocky. He also dissed The Weeknd. He also dissed several other people, not to mention Future. Okay? Does that bring us up to snuff yet? No. No, it doesn't. Because some would say Drake made a major mistake in his next move, which was to drop a song featuring 2 AI artists that we're very familiar with, one being a past legend, still non-living legend, rest in peace Pac, salute, and one living legend, aka Snoop Dogg, whose response would leave many to speculate, why didn't he not give or reject his approval of this? Either way, he let it fly with a very cryptic response while pointing at a Death Row album. And of course, the estate of one Amaru Tupac Shakur would issue a statement as well as a cease and desist order against Drake to pull that song Tailor Made down. And here's my thoughts on it. Whatever way it happened, they pulled it down. So I don't count that song. Even though it was pretty creative, a lot of people were upset about it, me being one of them, because number one, how the hell are you going to use Pac? You're not going to infuse his style in there. We know that he wrote it, but you're not going to use any of the ad libs, the way he would say it, the intensity, none of that. And then you pass it to Snoop, and Snoop would come kind of, the same way Drake would be if he was rapping in the Snoop voice. Once again, not harming or not going at Drake, but just stating the obvious that people had questions with. So they ended up retracting that one down. He ended up pulling it off the streaming platforms, and moved on with his typical, trying to roast people through the internet, baiting and trolling to get Kendrick Lamar to come out and play. Didn't happen. Some say that he tried to do that because if Kendrick would have dropped during the time that Taylor Swift dropped, then that would have meant that any options or possibility of a #1 album were being removed from the table. Because obviously if Kendrick dropped a solo disc album and it goes #1, that really is going to be a hurt piece to Drake. Just is. You can't, no matter how you say it. So that's why I think it was called Taylor Made, because he said that because Taylor Swift dropped, in his plan to, of course, take Kendrick down, didn't work because Kendrick didn't respond and go for the trap, that Taylor Swift was controlling the way he dropped. So all that being said, I think that now brings us up to where we're at, which is as of April 30th, Kendrick would drop Euphoria. Lot to break down in Euphoria, and we'll be back with our own breakdown and our own take of things. But right now, once again, we're focused on what? A Tale of Two Kings. See, I told you I was going to keep it PG, right down the line, and go real. Why? Because I'm a gorilla. #1, pound your chest. Let's go. Now, all that aside, Kendrick's hits with major response. Everyone giving, not everyone, but a majority of the people, minus Drake's fans, are giving him 1-0, saying Kendrick won. Now, just so you know, I got the link for that, didn't know it was out yet. I got it from my son, which is a Drake fan, okay? And all that being said, we are now at the stage where we're waiting on Drake for a response. May possibly come out tonight. Sorry, it's 10:51. May come out early tonight, may come out early tomorrow. And people are expecting him to drop by the weekend. The weekend. Funny. He dissed the weekend. But anyways, I don't even know why the weekend's in this battle, but he just kind of sang a diss. Maybe, I don't know, something like that. Irregardless to the fact, we're now waiting on Drake to drop his response. And that, my friends, brings us up to why I say this is all about A Tale of Two Kings, and why the possibility of having two kings in a genre like hip-hop/rap deserves to be had. I'm lobbying for it, and I hope you will lobby for it too. And some of the reasons why is because look at the power in this three-dimensional reality that we exist. In 3 dimensions, everything is based off of duality. Cause and effect, up, down, left and right, west side, east side. Did I do that right? East side? I'll go east side like that, because that's how they do it in LA, east side. Anyways, the fact that this is a world of duality and you give us a genre that's taken over the world, but you want to classify it as hip-hop/rap, why do we have just one king to rule on the top? Because this is a competitive blood sport, and it still will remain that, because that's the way it was birthed in its inception into this world we call America and planet Earth. Okay, that was a lot to take off the head with no notes. So that's because I live this. I live this shit. All right. I was born in 73. So was hip hop. I lived this shit. I've been hip hop since 73. Now you know why I say that. All that aside, ponder with me the idea. Now that's where I really start trying to sound intelligent. Ponder with me the idea that hip hop continues to be its own entity, meaning graph, DJing, fashion, art, as well as MCing. And that culture gets personified by artists like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, JID, Black Hippies, Baby Keem, Schoolboy Q. Well, Schoolboy Q, he's kind of teetering right now, but he's still street. But he's, he can go there. Ab Soul, very much hip hop. A lot of the groups that come from LA. Contra, oh man, what's those guys called? Contra, they really are dope, man. I'm sorry if I'm getting y'all names wrong, but just know that I respect y'all, man. Salute them boys is keeping the trill hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And just you have hip hop and street kind of in the middle, because street can go hip hop and street can also go pop, right? But on the other side, you have rap. Rap artists who are really about making you dance, making you feel a vibe, a good time, enjoying yourself, party, drinks, the materialistic side of hip hop, the cars, the clothes, the mansions. And these things, I believe, should be personified because these are the things that have made our culture and enriched the world with the possibility of saying, hey, I too want the bling. I too want the rings. I want the shine. I want the glow. I want the fame. All right. I want the change. That's a little plug on one of my songs called Fame or the Change. Anyways, with all that being said, we're looking at two distinctly different art styles wrapped up into one tortilla shell called the hip hop rap burrito. And I don't agree with the fact that we have to compete for a number one spot that is covering two clearly different genres. Two clearly different genres. Number one, hip hop is more about not so much what you say, but how you say it. I.e., with Euphoria, a lot of people had to say, well, Kendrick used a lot of stuff. He used this from this person and that from that person and this from that person. And he even bit himself. Okay. Number one, biting was a crime until Jay-Z made it a likable thing. Okay. Number one. But we're not going to go there. I digress. It's not about what you say because everybody says the same thing. Think about this. When everybody talks about a gun, back in the day, it was a 9. Listen to my 9mm go bang. KRS-One. Then everybody got a 9. Everybody got a 9. Okay? Everybody's selling a 9. Everybody got a 9. Everybody's busting a 9. Then it went to Glock. I got a Glock. He got a Glock. Everybody got a Glock. And now everybody got a Glock, right? And then think about recently, the Draco. I got a Draco. His Draco. I line you up with my Draco. I dress you up with my Draco. You know what I'm saying? I come through, spin the block, you know what I'm saying, letting go with my Draco. Just listen to it, okay? The point that I'm saying is everybody takes one thing and they run with it. But they're running with it in their own ways. Think about Ice and how Jay-Z talked about jewelry. And Jay-Z, not only Jay-Z, but that whole generation was talking about ice in different ways. Frozen water on my neck. And they're still to this very day still describing, pissy yellow diamonds in all types of different ways. We're all saying the same thing, but we applaud those who can say it differently in their own voice to make us believe what they're saying as well as possible. Paint the vivid picture of what it is that they're describing, right or wrong, right? So my point being, hip hop is all about taking something and saying it in a different way that makes everybody align with it. Rap is no different, but what they're saying in the content changes. That's why the streets can be for both. But hip hop, and when I talk about the streets as a hip hopper, I'm describing stories like Nas talks about hip hop, how he describes how it's gone. Hip hop is dead. He wasn't saying hip hop is dead, but he was describing the streets. He described crack a certain way. And you look at the way Jay-Z described crack. Jay-Z described crack like, I got it in my trunk, I got this, I got that. I'm using it to get money. I'm trying to get paid. You know what I'm saying? And those are two different ways to talk about selling drugs to get money. One is describing a story of how it is and how he got about it and how he prefers not to do it. The other one describes how he prefers not to do it. But guess what? If I'm going to do it, I'm going to get this money and I'm going to flex this money on you. You see what I'm saying? So they're talking about two different things. Once again, that is the difference, the dichotomy of hip hop versus rap. I submit faithfully to my hip hop and rap heads out there that we can have two different kings. Obviously, Kendrick Lamar is not trying to be the spotlight king like Drake, and he even alluded to that in his Euphoria song, saying, I make songs that electrify while you make songs that pacify. What does he mean by that? Pacification comes with the club music, the club sound, wanting to be in the club and vibing out, drinking champagne, macking the female, getting down on the floor, you know what I'm saying, taking her home, doing what you do, looking fresh, dipped up, showing your diamonds and rolling up in something nice, you know what I'm saying, sliding through the streets and doing whatever you do, all right? And that's one aspect of it. And I think Drake represents that better than anybody else of this generation. Would you agree? I thought you would. Drake's got more babies out there than anybody else when it comes to that. Next to Future, Drake's got the most, okay? More people want to sound like Drake. They want to sing like Drake. They want to harmonize. They want to rap. They want to drop bars. They want to be introspective, blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm going with this, right? On the other side, you have what Kendrick represents. Kendrick represents a melodic flow, but he also represents hard-cut lyrics. He represents what is happening to the struggle, what is happening in the streets, how the streets are swallowing up. Good Kid, Mad City. He's talking about the ills of the world. He's talking about subject matter that may include materialism from some time, but mostly includes his struggle to deal with materialism. Hence, Mr. Morale and the High Steppers. So the reason why I say this is because these are two clearly distinctive voices that represent two different brands that represent the dichotomy of hip hop and rap. Okay? Now, all that being said, they both rap. And right now they're in the battle to see who's the best rapper. But based off of the way that Kendrick drops and the way that Drake drops, there may not be a clear winner to this one. No matter who wins, the other's crowd is going to say they didn't win. And no matter who loses, the other crowd is going to say they didn't lose. So my point is, I want you to imagine what would happen if we had a king of hip hop and a king of rap. Is that possible? If it is possible, what would it look like? What doors would that open up? Because now all these bubblegum rappers who have, little to no talent, all the way up to those who just want to rap and talk about their money and bling and, their lack of care for the culture itself, and still how they love the streets and how they make their money and how they do whatever they do, you know what I'm saying? All the way up to running the clubs, now you have to compete at the top level with Drake to take that crown. Think about this. And let's think about all the lyricists out there who like to craft the words, who like the art of going head up and damaging somebody verbally. You know what I'm saying? Your Slaughterhouse, your Joe Buttons, your Joel Ortiz, your Eminems, your Pharoah Monch, your you know what I'm saying? Like I said, your JID, your Bosch, you know what I'm saying? And just all, you can name them. You can name them. And then there's gonna people in the fine line who can go both ways. Yes, they're gonna be the one-offs. Biggie was a one-off. Biggie can give you a club cut. He can give you a street cut. You know what I'm saying? But those are far and in between. Snoop can give you a club cut, he can give you a street cut. Jay-Z can give you a club cut, he can give you a street cut. You know, all of these things, you know, but if we clearly define, hey, this is what the hip hop crowd is looking for, and this is what the rap crowd is looking for, and teetered to one or the other, okay? And press in. And if you want to be the best in any one of those, these are the two you would have to go against. If Cole wanted to get back into this and we had this system set up to where hip hop would be represented, and of course the money side would be represented, Cole now has to either go against Drake if he decides to be that money material rapper, which that's not Cole. He's on a spiritual journey right now, so I respect that. So I would say that Kendrick and Cole would make a great battle, because that would determine who would be the hip hop king. And then let's say you take Future and Drake, and that would be your rap king. I control the club. I control the traps. I control the streets. I'm this dude. You see what I'm saying? And then you let these two battle it out. Now you've got two crowds, two different genres, and you have a plethora of travel space for the artists who find a lane in one or the other to go for what they know. Now, let me tell you another way that I know that this works. Let's look at other musical genres like rock. Rock has transcended all of this time because rock has given you multiple genres and subgenres, i.e., rock and roll broke down into butt rock, grunge rock, thrash, heavy metal, and some of the other different genres. Country doesn't do that. Jazz, acid jazz, smooth jazz, you know, these different subgenres allow these groups to now go. This has to be the way that we start thinking about this, because right now what's happening is hip hop is evolving yet again. It's changing yet again. And this does not mean that we need to put the trap rappers out of business. This does not mean that we need to put these club banger dudes out of business. This just means that we need to have a select group so people know what they're getting. If I'm doing this type of rap, I'm doing hip hop. If I'm doing this type of rap, I'm doing pop rap. You know what I'm saying? Since that's what you're going for, go for it. But let's define it. And that's the reason why I believe that we should have a tale of two kings. I think I've rambled on along about this enough. Hopefully I made my point. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you like what I'm talking about, like, follow, subscribe, and please share this to your friends, your families. Start a conversation around this and see where it goes, because conversation rules the nation, and we're not on the plantation. We're in the habitat, and in the habitat is where the gorillas battle at. Let's go. Ooh, ooh, ooh. G1, I'm out. 2 Dubs, 4 corners, peace, prosperity, and preservation. Gold Real Life awaits.